Jen.
And I'm Jane.
And we're SpielMill.
And this is our top 100 numbers 80 to 71 or 71 to 80.
Whichever direction you want to go.
All right, we're going to go from 80 to 71.
Yeah, having said that, you better go from... Anyway.
We're building up. We're building up to it.
Yes, yes. And this list is as of 2025. Hopefully you've watched the first two episodes we've done. So we've gone from 100 to 81, and we're continuing on our way. And if you did watch the first few, you know that there were some real bangers, some amazing games. We've played so many games at this point that I think we could have done a top 500.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, without further ado, let's get to it.
All right. Who's first?
You go.
Okay, my number 80 is a game. It's new to the list from 2022. It is a roll and write game, and my favorite in this series, I think, and that is French Quarter. So this is from Matt Riddle and
Ben
Pinchback and Adam Hill, I believe. And it's really fun. It's a flip and write with dice, so flip and roll and write. It's got interesting action selection based on the cards you flip over and the dice that you roll.
Yeah, this is a really fun one. It's super thematic.
It's visiting New Orleans.
Yep.
We've both been in New Orleans, so this is kind of like, I don't know, it's fun because it fits into a visit that we had to New Orleans at some point.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite themed of all of them.
Yeah.
Their games.
I really like the theme of Three Sisters. I like this a little better. It felt a little less chaotic.
Yeah.
Which to me is a bonus. My only drawback to these games is sometimes they feel a little chaotic with all the bonuses and everything, which is a fun thing, but also a chaos thing. So I don't like that. I don't know. But I really do like this one. I don't know. That's what I guess I said. I said it's thematic. I talked about how it's dice. You have two sheets. So there's a lot going on, which I do like, without it feeling overly chaotic.
Yep. All right, great.
That's my number 80, and that is French Quarter.
Yes, I almost didn't let you finish. I kind of got excited. All right, my number 80 dropped 58 places.
Ooh.
It was 22 the last time we did it. And I know, so sad. And that is Tapestry.
Oh, wow. You love Tapestry.
I do love Tapestry. And I've been playing it a lot on BGA, which is nice because, you know, otherwise it's hard to get to the table. I think actually if we were playing it more in person, it might be, I don't think it would be where it was, but it might not have fallen quite as much. Right. I think there's a little bit less satisfaction with a game like that on BGA, right?
Yeah, I don't play it on BGA for that reason.
It's just not quite as fun. So I still play it a lot. I still really love it. It's in my top 100, obviously, but I think that playing it on BGA is less satisfying. And so if you haven't played this game, there are 4 tracks around the outside of the board, and you have to pay resources to move forward. And you are, it's kind of like Civ building, but not really, because you could actually have, like, you know, invent the microwave as a technology card before you have invent the wheel. But it has some of that sort of same feeling. It's a game that, especially in the beginning, it has like a slow roll. You only have a few resources your first round, and by the last round, you know, you have a lot more. So you're kind of building those engines, which I really like.
It's got that cycle of building up your ability to produce resources before you do a lot of the actions.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you know,
the tracks are fun.
Yeah, the tracks are fun. So you can have a very different game depending on which track you pursue in any given game. You could, and that's one of the things I really like that keeps it fresh, is one game I could decide, well, I'm going to go for the, you know, the blue track, and which I think is the science track, and another one I could go for the military track, and they play really differently. But you know, so that means the game is always feeling fresh. And
you can respond to what the other player's doing. So if I see you going for the military track, and it looks like it's going to be hard for me to compete, I could lean another direction.
Yep. And that also, adds to some sort of, fresh feeling of each game, because you're not just picking what you're going to do, you're also balancing off the other players. You get civilizations at the beginning, which will give you a special power that can also help to decide which way you're going to go. I think at the beginning there was some imbalance. I know there was some imbalance because they
released many corrections.
Yeah, they released many corrections. So it's sort of like the Stonemaier thing where Jamie releases a game, but maybe before it's almost done. But that's okay. I still love this game. One thing I don't like about this is I like all the expansions, except most expansions give you more room to explore them. So that you're adding to the game, you're making a little bit longer, a little bit more complex, something like that. This one doesn't. The expansions are kind of an either or. You can follow the new art track or whatever it's called.
Architecture, I think.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, you're not going to be able to follow the other tracks. It doesn't.
Maybe arts and architecture.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's right. It doesn't give you a more robust, longer, more complicated game experience. It just gives you more choices of which direction you want to go.
Which isn't bad.
But
I would have preferred a little more game.
Right, because you oftentimes you want to explore that new thing, but you can't do it unless you do it at the expense of something else.
Plus, I like the idea of a strategy where you explore more tracks as an option, which you don't really have. You have to specialize a bit. Yeah. Which I think is a little bit of a drawback. Yeah. I really like the game.
I really like it too. I'm not good at it.
Yep. I'm just kidding. I wasn't saying yep to that. I don't know. It sounded like I was, but I wasn't. In my head, I was saying.
I know. I knew you were, but I also knew what it sounded like.
Yep, you're not good at it.
But I'm really not, because there are times where you've lapped me in this game. You've literally passed me.
I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah. So, and I kind of have similar experience online. I win occasionally, but usually not. But that's okay. I don't care. I like it. I don't care. I like it. I like your little city board where you're filling that up and putting buildings there. And every time you fill one up, it gives you another resource. There's a lot to love here.
I do like someone made like bases for the buildings so they fit the squares better.
Yeah. I
do like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got all the fancy pieces for this too. So yes, that's my number 80, Tapestry.
All right. Good choice. My number 79 is a new to my list game. It's one we played recently and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's Artisans of Splendid Vale. Now, I'm going to say the one thing I don't like about Artisans of Splendid Vale is the combat. The combat should have been more tense, more puzzly than it is. The combat was kind of like you almost played to get through the combat to get to the rest of the game, because the rest of the game was what was fun.
Yeah.
And the rest of the game was really fun. It was like a search and discover kind of thing. Like you'd go into a room and you'd see numbers for different things you can look at. And we each had different characters and we each had our own books. And what was in our books was different.
Right.
Because it was from our perspective. So like I would have different numbers on my sheet than she would. And we'd have some shared numbers. And we'd go explore number 80, let's say. And we'd both see what's there. And it'd be like, oh, I have 79. And be like, oh, I don't have that. So I'd explore 79. Yep. And then she would explore 32 or whatever. And then we'd find different things. And we would have choices as to what paths to go down. And we would choose. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. But where you're exploring sites and locations, and you had some combat that wasn't as good as it could have been. There were fun. One of my favorite little features of this was when you went after each day of adventure, you would pull a card to do something at home or whatever. And that card would be anything from going out clubbing with your friends to crying on your couch because you didn't feel up to it.
Yeah,
and I like
so cute.
The cute elements of that part of it too. So
yeah,
the leveling up was really interesting. You had like it looks like a star chart with bubbles all over it, and you could fill in bubbles that were adjacent to pre-existing bubbles. And if you might unlock a power that way. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was.
The characters were cool. They were queer friendly. They were different colors.
My character was blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had pets. I had a pet. that would come with us on adventures. So that was really neat. So all kinds of cool features. Really loved every aspect of this game but the combat.
Yeah.
If the combat was better, this would be like top 20, like easily.
Yeah,
like it's
agree.
So good in the other elements, but the combat is just a little wanting.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's my number 79, Artisans of Splendid Vale.
All right. Well, my number 79 is new to the list. I believe we just played it this last year.
Okay.
I feel like we almost had to because I think we played it in this house. And that is Lacrimosa.
Oh, don't know where we played that, but it was within the last 2 years for sure.
Yeah, certainly within the last 2 years. So, I actually don't remember a whole lot about the mechanisms of this game.
Isn't that weird? I don't either.
But I remember just absolutely loving this game. I think if we played this game more, this game would be a top 20.
The one thing I do remember is it had the deck of cards. It had 2 types of cards in it. And they went into a card row, and you could draft either type of card, but they did different things.
Well, and that drafting mechanism also, depending on, the cards sort of slid along and they would get cheaper. And I think, you start out paying a really high price for them and eventually you're getting money to take the card. And so I really liked that aspect of it. I think that's such a neat way to do drafting of cards. And it has tracks at the bottom where you are trying to get a really good position on those tracks. There's a map on it. You can go for a carriage ride, I believe.
I like how the player board works, where you slide your cards. They can slide into the bottom or the top of the player board. Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That's right.
That's what I thought.
Looking at pictures. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's funny. I really... I usually also do some research so I at least remember why I like this game, but I didn't do that today. And it also has such a great theme. It's about Mozart, his last, he's dead, and you're trying to publicize his works or finish his last work. And so it's such a unique theme in board games. It's very heavy. It's a heavy Euro, which I love. It's sort of that dry, you can kind of do your own thing. You are, because there's tracks on the bottom where you're competing with the other players in the game, there is some player interaction. It's not entirely a multiplayer solo, which it just adds an element of engagement to it, I think. Sometimes I just want to be left alone and play my own puzzle, but at least I'm conscious of trying to race and be there and get the good spot. So yeah, so that is my number 79, Lacrimosa.
My next 2 are big droppers. My number 78 dropped 58 spots. Why? I don't know. We didn't play it this year, so I might have taken it down from that. But I really love this game. But I love all my top 100. So that's what makes it really hard to choose. And that is Abomination. The Heir of Frankenstein. And this is a really thematically rich game with a very dark theme. Where you're taking dead bodies and trying to make a Frankenstein monster. Sometimes you're murdering people to do that. Sometimes you're going to the morgue and salvaging bodies, and sometimes you go to the cemetery and digging them up.
Girls
and sometimes you're getting blood and parts from the animal slaughterhouse. It's all pretty dark.
Yep.
You need ice to keep things cool. And this is all based on Victorian London, so there's no
electric refrigeration or anything.
Yeah, electric refrigeration. So it's really cool. Love this game. I know there is a simpler set of rules that people have played with and have liked. We have not. We've only played with the base set of rules. So whether or not they're better or not, I do not know. But I do know that we like the base set of rules and we like it that way. So we are not incentivized to change that.
No.
For us anyway. Now maybe if we had somebody who was newer to gaming who wanted to play it with us, we might do that. But at least for now, we're playing the full original set of rules. So
right.
That is my number 78, a big dropper, Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein.
My number 78 is up 128 spots.
Ooh.
It's a big climber. and that is St. Petersburg. I think I've only played this game in person once or twice.
Yeah.
Everything else has been on BGA.
It's a good online game, I will
It is.
admit.
It is. I love this game so much.
It's addictive.
It is addictive. And it's very simple, especially online when you don't have to do the maintenance, which I think is what's really nice because there's a lot of card maintenance to it.
Right.
Basically it's a tableau building game. So you're getting cards every round and putting them in your tableau. There's 4 parts to each round. There's the worker phase, there's the building phase, the noble phase, and then the trading phase. And so your cards that you get are going to activate in the round that they are, like, that they're part of. So the workers activate in the workers phase. The buildings activate in the building phase. And so really, like, the buildings can be point scorers. And so it could be a really good thing to have buildings early to build your points.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of points from having all the nobles, and so you can't, like, sleep on that. So it's really about balancing it. And new players always sort of make the mistake of trying to get those point buildings early on.
You got to get the money early.
Right. You got to get the money early, and then you got to snatch up the nobles that are unique. And, like, I mean, I've seen a lot of new players, even if you tell them you got to get the nobles, just not prioritize that and end up at the end, like, really getting destroyed because they haven't bought enough nobles. But I don't know, I really like this game. It's relatively quick online. It's snappy, it's satisfying. I really like it. So
for a game that I think is a little bit formulaic in how you should play it, and it is, right?
It is.
There's really one main strategy, and there's little itty strategies off that. It still feels strategic, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
So I think it works.
You see that card market come out, you know that the card that gives you, like, the building that gives you a coin for every noble comes out, and you can't afford it, so you put it into your, into your hand where you're holding it, but you can only hold 3 cards. And so then the next round, if, like, really good nobles come out, you've clogged up a spot for that. So there's a lot
going on.
Yeah.
And hand management is a big part of this game. So I do like the hand management aspect.
I'm hoping you don't buy what I need. And yeah, it's lovely. So that's my number 78, St. Petersburg.
My number 77 is another big dropper of 53 spots. This one's a bit of a surprise. Again, I went with Pub Meeple. I did defer to it mostly. I made some changes and tweaks. I'm still surprised at how much this dropped even after my tweaks, and that is Agricola. Now, this might be punished a little bit because Caverna.
Yeah.
Spoiler, it might be higher up.
Yeah.
But, and it's almost the same game. And then Caverna is like the next stage of the game, which is really, really good. We'll talk about Caverna some other time.
I bet we will.
Agricola, I love the theme. I love the farming theme. I just love it. Growing your family, feeding your family. I love all of it. Agricola is super tight, and that's one area where Caverna improves upon it. And I think it makes it feel a little less tight, which is actually kind of nice. And you get more choices. You have more worker placement spots. But I just love Agricola, and I love playing it in person. I love playing it online. It's a game what's interesting to me, Agricola, is it's a complex game, but it's a game you can introduce to newer players. And there's something about that is fascinating. Like, why is this complex game so intuitive or whatever that you can introduce it to newer players?
Yeah, it really is. This is when we've introduced to our online groups, and they take to it immediately. They love it. Even the ones that are like, don't want to play anything super complicated, this game,
it works. I mean, it's logical. I want to get wheat. I want to get animals. I want to put them in fences, build, upgrade my house. It all makes sense, and it just works. So I really am impressed by how this is almost a gateway game for some people, and it's crazy.
It was my gateway game.
It was. But I mean, I think in general, that's it's not just you. I think it is.
Too.
And I think that's phenomenal. I think the fact that a complex game like this is like that, I think is impressive. Uwe is a great designer, of course.
So good.
And I love Agricola. So it dropped to 77. Still in my top 100. I love it. My number 77, Agricola.
My number 77 also plummeted down the list. And I think it also suffered from having not gotten to the table in a couple years. You're going to be shocked. Everdell.
Wow.
I know.
I love Everdell.
I know. Me too. It's the pub meeple thing. I did the pub meeple. And if you ask me which game would I rather play right now, my, experience with Everdell is a couple years old. And it's hard for me to kind of picture, like, I know why intellectually I love it and why it's such a great game, but it's not that super emotive, like that happens when you play a game or have played a game recently. Exactly. But I still love Everdell. And again, I think if we got it back to the table this year, it would go right back up the list. It is such a beautiful game. We have a wooden tree. The wooden tree that you set in the middle of the game is just for decoration. It does not serve any purpose. You put the gold cards on the branches. I don't care. I want it to be pretty. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being just for pretty. That's totally fine. But the game itself is also tight mechanically. It's got that super charming artwork with the animals and the tree and everything, but mechanically it's amazing. You're building out this tableau that helps build your engine. You've got your basic actions that are on your board, and that allow you to gather resources and get cards and play them into your tableau. And then those cards in your tableau let you do more things. They let you gather resources in between seasons. They can be another space that you or your the people who you are playing with can go to. It's that game that has that lovely progression from super tight, oh my god, I don't have a lot of resources, I can't take a lot of turns, to the last round where the turns are so complex. You're doing like 27 things during the turn. So it's got that mechanical solidness to it with the incredibly charming art and the high we have, of course, the deluxe resources to make it even better and more tactile. Just I love it. Again, haven't played it in a while. I think that's why it's down here at number 77, but it's still a fantastic game, and I think would easily bounce right back up the list if we played it again.
I think your top 100 is really hard because everything in my top 100 I just love. So
yeah. The other thing I'll say is we've played Everdell. We've played with all the expansions. A lot of them are really great. But I think, I might be wrong, but I think that expansions hurt where this game rates for me because it becomes a little bit more of a chore trying to remember how to play them.
That's because we've only played them all once or twice too.
But they complicate the strategy. They complicate everything. I think where this game shines for me is at its basic. Just really love it.
I really like it with the expansions.
I do too, and I could be wrong, but that's my feeling right now.
You're definitely wrong.
So that's my number 77, Everdell.
Good choice. My number 76 dropped 8 spaces, just 8. So pretty similar. And that is on the table right now, Alhambra. Alhambra is, we have the Mega Box, which we've only played a little bit of, but we are playing through it right now. Somebody requested that. And we're going to do a video with the expansions, as long as we get all the way through it, which we're working on. But I really love Alhambra. I just love the simple game, but great choices that you have in this game. And I do like the choices of when you go for money, when you go for buildings, when you want to go after that building. The expansions for the Mega Box add a little element to that. The one we've played, the Vizier expansion, allows you to claim a card off the market in between turns, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that later, but I really like just how this game clicks. It just moves, it clicks, it's never long, never overly long for sure, and you can introduce this to a new player, and they can pick it up. It's a pretty simple game though. You're either collecting money from the market, buying a building with the money you've bought, and the money is different colors. So you can buy a building off the green space in the market with green money, a building off the blue space in the market with blue money, etc. And then so it's really interesting about how you balance the money that you have in hand in terms of different suits, and because you want to make sure you can buy whatever you want out of the market at any time.
Right.
So tricky.
It is.
Fun. So my number 76, nothing much to say, I guess, from Jen, Alhambra.
I feel like I might be talking about this later. I don't know. I can't remember. We did this list like 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember where anything is anymore.
It'll take us a little while to get this all recorded.
I will say with Alhambra, I prefer with 3 people. There is a dummy.
It's better with more players.
We play with Dirk is the dummy player. We call him Dirk the Jerk. One of the things I don't like about Dirk is he's not rational. So like with a human player, you can bet, okay, I can see what they're going for there, right? And I know they're not going to, swoop in and take what I need, or they're probably not going to like challenge my supremacy in this. But with Dirk, it's just you pick 6 random tiles from the stack, and there's no way to predict that. And so like I could have a solid lead in something, and Dirk comes along and just whoosh wipes it out.
Yeah, because he just grabs 3 white buildings. He had no reason to go for white buildings because it wasn't a realistic option for him, but he gets them.
Right.
And
all in one. Hard. Like he only takes tiles 2 or 3 times in the game, and so it's also like he's not building a strategy that you can respond to. It's like boom, like you're just knocked right off that pedestal.
It needs like an automa.
It's brutal,
but so it doesn't work that well with the 2-player automa thing.
I mean, it's okay.
It works okay. But yeah, because when I'm playing, I look at what you're doing. Like, if you got 4 green buildings and I have 1, I'm like, I might be content. I might be like, I'm not going to focus on green buildings unless they have good walls or something, or something else I need. I'm going to focus on like white buildings or red buildings, whatever. They all have names, Jermakers and Gardens and Gardens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you don't really,
I will also say, since we're talking about Alhambra right now, that this has one of the best roll and write implementations.
Yeah, the roll and write's good.
The roll and write's really good. It's a solid roll and write that has its bones in the table game. So
all right.
Yeah.
So that's my number 76, Alhambra.
All right. My number 76 has dropped 49 spots. And actually, well, and I think this dropped not because not like with Everdell, it sort of slipped a little bit, but because so many things jumped ahead of this. And if we play through this year like we think, it might jump back up, and that is Final Girl.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I really, really love Final Girl. It's so thematic. We play it co-op instead of, Jane sometimes plays it solo, but I never have time for solo games. So we just play it as a co-op, and what I like in solo games is I want it to kick my ass 9 times out of 10, right? You want it to be so hard that when you win, it's like by the skin of your teeth, and it feels like such a victory. It is so satisfying. And Final Girl certainly has that. We played Krampus, the Krampus version over Christmas, and
we had a tough time with it.
We had a tough time. I think we eventually did win, but we really got our butts kicked. And I like that. This is also so thematic. I just love the theme of this. It feels like the old slasher movies, where you're trying to get all the stupid people to like run away from the monster. I love that they panic and they just run willy-nilly wherever when the bad guy shows up. I think that's really funny. The art is fantastic, and I don't know what else to say about this Final Girl. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. The only thing I forget with Final Girls, because we don't play it often enough, I always mess up a rule. And sometimes it makes it easier, sometimes it makes it harder. And I'm always messing up a rule.
Yeah.
So that's annoying.
I would like to, if we have time this year, we'll see if we get to it, because I get ambitious. My eyes are bigger than my board game table. I want to play through all of the expansions, all of the bad guys.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be so great.
So hopefully we get to do that.
Because we have other things like Frosthaven we want to do, so.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Final Girl. My number 70 something or other. 76.
All right, my number 75 is new to my list, and it's up 325 spaces. How is that possible? Because I'm using this in place of a group of games, and that is the game that I'm putting in the spot is called We Can Play. And this is Woman Who Changed the World. It's a history world, but it's basically a timelines game. So it's standing in for the timelines games for me, which I absolutely love, and they're really good to introduce for family. But when I did this ranking before, I really heavily weighted heavy games. So it was down like in spot 400, and now it's in number 75. But again, the We Can Play is new to us. So it's not just timelines. I think it's my favorite timelines-ish game because it focuses on historically influential women, and I love that from around the world. Love that. And it's got its own set of rules, which are a little different than timelines, but they're similar enough. And
I think we also house ruled this a little bit too.
We might have
because I think we house ruled this based on how timelines plays.
We played it both. We played it the proper way at least once.
Oh yeah.
So
and then we house ruled it.
We might have. Really enjoyed this game though. I think it's really good. Like I said, the influential woman part of it, but I like this. This is like, we call this like the dad's game. Like we play it with our dads. My dad passed away, but we played it with him. And it was one of the few games he could play because he was not good at board games or understanding board games.
Yeah, we played it with my dad too before he had strokes. They loved it.
They loved it, yeah. And because it's history. And it's like when things happen in history, which I don't know well enough. And so this game helps me learn about when things happen in history, which I think is really fantastic.
I will say, I have completed the coursework for a PhD in history. Now, this was 20 years ago, but still, I know history really well. She's pretty good at it.
Yeah,
she says she doesn't know history, but she does really well.
Not
like
as
I
good as you.
do not win every game, so.
But you win. You do pretty well.
I probably do, but considering the fact that I should be wiping the floor with everybody in this, you do great. You win a fair percentage of time. So.
And We Can Play is tougher because honestly, like I don't know enough about these women from around the world.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to learn about them.
It is. It really is.
So I really like that.
I love that too.
So yeah. So that's my number 75 is We Can Play / timelines.
Excellent.
Or card lines, which is, I don't know if people are familiar with card lines, but it's like timelines, but it's like stats, like world populations of countries.
It's fun too. We're such nerds. I love it.
We love that kind of stuff.
Love it. So. It's so much fun. I don't think I gave those a fair shake. I think I probably just shuffled those aside as like not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
We also have Mexican Revolution timeline, which I know nothing about it, and I still enjoy it because I learned about the Mexican Revolution.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 75 also is standing in for a group, and so that's something I want to say is we did Pub Meeple. I stayed pretty true to what the Pub Meeple results were. There were only a few things I really edited and moved around significantly, but there were a couple games that we play a lot of them, a group of them. There's multiple different versions, and I eliminated all but the top one. So that meant the number shifted. I think probably at least 10 games came out of my top 100 because they were represented in other places by their games. So this is the top scoring game from this series, and that is Pandemic Iberia.
Okay. Pandemic
Iberia is my favorite version of all of the pandemics. And it is down 30 from previously. It was at 45. We played a lot of Pandemic there for a couple of years. And I think probably the last time we'd done it was right in the middle of that. But we still really love this game. I love the system. It does what a good co-op does. It kicks your ass. I love to have my ass kicked by a good cooperative game. But I really like Pandemic Iberia because I think it solves one of the things that happens late in a game of Pandemic is when you've eradicated or cured a bunch of diseases, a lot of the colors cards become pointless, right? They're just clogging up your hands. You don't need them. Well, Pandemic Iberia gives you another use for those cards. So I feel like it was a really good sort of iteration on the Pandemic system. And the railroads are really nice. You can build railroads, which will let you travel really quickly from one place to another. So you can it's like an airplane, except you don't have to use a card for it, I think. It's just an action. So it has a couple of tweaks to it that I think eliminate some of the just minor annoyances in the other versions of Pandemic.
The other thing I think that Iberia provides is an alternative theme. Because it's historical and it's looking at like diseases like, I guess, cholera and stuff like that. Yellow fever.
Influenza.
It's a little more removed from our own traumatic experience of living through a pandemic.
Yeah.
Which I think is a plus.
Yeah.
Just like I like Rising Tides the most and of the Pandemic games. And I think partially that removal is really good there. Though that's not the reason I like it the most. But I think it really helps.
Yeah. And of course, when this first came out and we were first playing it, we had not lived through a global pandemic, and so it hit differently.
Yeah, it hit differently.
For sure. And I think, maybe had we not played it and discovered it during the pandemic, it would not have been such a pleasant experience. But we did play it beforehand, so it is what it is. And I also love the historical nature of Pandemic Iberia. To me, that's just very interesting.
It's just cool thematically.
Yeah. So that is my number 75, Pandemic Iberia.
All right. My number 74 is new to the list. It is another wine making game. It is Vinhos from Vital Lacerda. This is a third winemaking game of my top 100 because I think I had AOC, Age of Champagne, and Dom Pierre already.
I'm going to have some too. I just haven't had them yet.
I also had In Vino Morte, which is a wine drinking game. So wine's a theme here. I think this might be the last one. Sorry, viticulture. You're up there, but I don't know. You may not be top 100 right now.
Yeah.
We haven't played it in a while, and I think that's a big hurt there.
I think even once we do, I think these other games are going to beat it out.
Vinhos is particularly really good.
So good.
We did manage to find Age of Champagne in print, so we got a copy of that. Very excited.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to play that.
But Vinhos is a Vital Lacerda game, so it's complex. It's thematically complex. It is got some really interesting mechanisms. I probably can't even give them justice right now talking about them. You have a lot of market-based stuff. Kind of like the Gallerist is more about the market of art. Vinhos is more about the market of wine.
Yeah.
But you do make wine in the game, and then you deliver it to market, and so on and so forth. And it's really fun. You own wineries, and you have different regions where you can own wineries, and it's cool. There's a lot going on. It's a Vital Lacerda game, so it is what it is. If you know a Vital Lacerda game, they tend to be very complex.
Very.
And this is in that 4 weight area for Board Game Geek.
It is.
But we really enjoy that, and I just enjoyed this one a ton.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I did too. I think that Vital Lacerda has a way of making really complex games that are playable because they make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right. The mechanisms are go with the theme, right?
And none of them are gateway games like Agricola can be.
No. I would not say they are gateway games at all. But they click, right? They make sense.
They do.
You have to grow the grapes, and you have to market it so somebody will buy it.
I struggled to wrap my head around on Mars, but now that I have, I love it.
Yeah.
For example, but otherwise, I'd usually glom on how the systems work in the games pretty well.
Yeah. And Vinhos is wonderful.
So yeah. Vinhos Deluxe Edition, of course, from Eagle Griffin Games. My number 74, new to the list.
All right. My number 74 is also new to the list, and that is Glenmore 2 Chronicles.
All right.
So we have not played the original Glenmore in person. We did play it on BGA. But the Glenmore 2 it does, I think the base game without any of the expansions is pretty much the
Right.
original, right? We like it with the expansions. I think the expansions bring enough complexity to it that is kind of what puts it on the list, but it's still such a thematic cozy. Can I say it's cozy for a kind of not too simple but kind of
Yeah,
complex game? Like
I get that.
I love the fact that you know, if you're going around this board and you're picking up tiles as you go, and so and then you're putting them in your tableau. If Jane is 7 steps ahead of me, I go until I pass her. And so I could go a couple times in a
Right.
row. But if she's, say, you know, in front of me like 3 or 4, but there's a tile I really, really need and I have to make sure she doesn't get it, I have to forego getting anything in between and hop her and do it. And then I'm done. I only get that one
Right.
turn. So I love that mechanism. In Glenmore 2, The Chronicles, I really like the sailboat race where you're trying to sail your ship around. I love that you're making whiskey. I'm a big fan of whiskey, so that's really fun. It's
Raw whiskey.
right after the wine game. And I like that you're getting like estates, like, you know, the Loch Ness estate or Loch whatever estate, and that is going to give you either endgame points or special abilities. So it's really, I just really enjoy this game. I think both mechanically and the theme, this is one that hits with me.
Excellent. I think it's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I love about it is, so you build your tableau and tiles activate when you put a tile near it. And so when you place a tile down, all the ones around it will activate. And so they have a limited shelf life, right? Some of them, you're only going to get to do them the 4 times they are touching another tile. And so really being strategic about when you're activating those, and so that they produce goods. You want to make sure you've got enough room to store those goods, or that you're just sort of maximizing the way they go. It's that type of intellectual puzzle that I love, where I'm trying to figure out, okay, like what is the best way for me to activate all of these different powers, in what order, and how do I get what I need to do that, and how do I make sure that you don't get what I need to do that. I mean, there's just so many layers of decision making in there, and that like planning ahead that I find super, super satisfying. That'll just tickle my brain. All right.
That explains why you just walk around laughing randomly.
Yeah, my
during
brain
these
is
games?
being tickled. So that is new to my list, number 74, Glenmore 2.
All right. My number 73 is the opposite of a Vital Lacerda game. It is new to my list, and it's very light, but I love it, and it's Christmas Movie Magic.
Yes.
Christmas Movie Magic is a game. It's just a bunch of cards you have of things you might see when watching a Christmas movie. And you play it while watching a Christmas movie. And you get a hand of cards. And if you see something in your hand, like a Christmas tree, and you have the Christmas tree card, you get to score it. And you get 1, 2, 3 points, whatever. You can also discard cards. So if you discard cards, you can draw more cards. And then you could still try to claim that card, but anybody can claim that discarded card. So you have a pile of discard cards, and anybody can claim any of them at any time based on what happens in the movie. So you have people calling out, oh, I see a tree. Oh, I see a white light, Christmas lights. I see multicolored Christmas lights, you know, whatever. And you play it through the movie. And we love our Christmas movies, and this gives us another way to enjoy them, a second way. And then we took it another level, and we developed our own variant, which we call Murder Movie Magic. Although we mostly use it to TV shows, it's basically murder mystery cards. And we play it while watching murder mysteries.
There's a dead body!
Exactly, we get really excited.
Yeah, this is a crossover. This was my number 92.
Yeah, it was on your list. Is this one of our first crossovers?
I think it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
We haven't had a whole lot.
Yeah.
So
no, this is wonderful. I think this would be fun to play with more people. I don't know that we'll ever have the opportunity, but I think it could be really fun and chaotic, and shouting out over each other.
Yeah.
And I shout like my life depends on it, even if the card is in my hand and you can't score it. I just get very excited.
I'll have to check Susan from Tea and Games. I think she's played it with more people.
Oh yeah, I'd
We'll
love
have
to
ask
hear.
how that went.
Yeah.
But we really enjoy it. So yeah, that's my number 73, Christmas Movie Magic.
My number 73 is a crossover with this list.
Oh my God, that's a first.
I know, you just mentioned it today already, and that is, and it's down 64, was 9 the last time, and that is Abomination, Heir of Frankenstein.
Oh, wow, it dropped so far for you.
I know.
I'm surprised it dropped that far for me, so I'm double surprised that it dropped that far for you.
Yeah, again, I think it's a victim of not having played it and just having played so many really good games this year
bangers,
that it just, they've jumped the list. I was shocked. I thought for sure this was going to be higher, but it's not. There it is. So you really talked about this a lot. The one thing I'll add is that I really love there's a humanity track on it. And so every time you like murder somebody or do something terrible, your humanity goes down. And so you have to do good deeds to get that back up. And so I think that's a really neat element in the game, and it adds another thing. So you can like go lecture or do good deeds or something to do that. But it's another point of tension, because otherwise you would just go murder people all day long, right? But if you did that, you would end up being so demoralized. I forget the word they use for it, but you would end up kind of really probably not being able to win the game.
Right.
So, but I do love this game. It's so thematic. Oh my gosh, it is so thematic. And yeah, it is my number 73.
All right. Good choice. My number 72 is a really fun push your luck game and bag builder, and that's Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Wow.
Love Quacks of Quedlinburg. Just really fun. And this is just a fun game. Also annoying at times because it is a push your luck game. And most push your luck games are fun and annoying at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a bag builder. So you're adding potion ingredients to your bag, and then you pull them out one at a time. And if you get more than 7 of the white ingredients, you bust. And that's bad. And you don't want to do that, because then you have to stop and you lose. Each turn, if you don't bust, you get to score points and get money to buy more potion element items that you can mix in. And each potion item that you add, ingredient, has a special power, which gives you more ability to do more stuff. So more money, more whatever. So really fun game. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's a really good Halloween season game, but I think it's not a game that is just, for me, limited to Halloween season.
No, I agree.
I think it's really fun. You can play it any time of the year. And I really enjoy it. And I think it's almost gateway. You can teach us to
definitely
newer players as well, which is really nice.
Especially if you limit if you use the starting sort of like 6 or 9 or whatever it is resources. Yep. We have all the expansions, so it can get pretty complex, and some of the
but we could just dial down to the base game.
Yeah. I think at the base game it is very, very welcoming. And
I should mention, it's dropped 25 spots for me. Again, that's just mostly new games coming in, I think, because this one wasn't affected a lot by my revisioning of the heavier games and such. So, because I just think I overweighed them before. So, yeah, but that's my number 72. Wonderful game, Quacks of Quedlinburg.
My number 72 is up 7. I thought it was new to the list, but it's not. Wow. Okay. It was 79 last time. Okay. So it's up 7, and it is Lizard Wizard.
Oh, nice. We already played that.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised, but apparently we did.
Oh, wow. Has it really been that long?
It has.
Oh, we have to get to the table this year.
I know. That was my reaction when I just realized I was about to say it was new to the list, and it's not.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people, so this is by the same folks that designed Raccoon Tycoon, which I know a lot of folks love, but that theme does not appeal to us at all. And so we were so excited when Lizard Wizard came out, because that's a theme we could wrap our head around. And so it's very similar in mechanisms, I think. But the theme is so much nicer, and you're just gathering potion ingredients to make potions and to, I think,
back-to-back potion games.
Yeah, baby. We love our potions. to attract wizards, or I don't know. There's something you can do with them. It's been a couple years. It has apparently been a couple years, but I really loved it. I really liked the way that it has that thing. I think of this as the Merchants of the Middle Ages mechanism, where when you buy something, the value goes down. Right. And and when you sell it, the value goes up. So
or vice versa.
I
think it's vice versa.
I can't remember, but it's got that like fluctuating market, which I think is really interesting because you're impacting it, and so you really want to wait until it's really high to unload a bunch of resources, and then you get to cash in and you get all of the benefit from that. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you really need to just get them out of your storage, or get some cash so you can do what you need to do. I think that is super clever. And in this game, it's to us, it's more appealing because it's not about like stock values or anything. It's about potion ingredients, which is just so much more interesting. So
yep,
we really enjoyed this game. It has been apparently.
We have the deluxe resources, which I like.
Of course. It's been a couple years since we played it. They look like those unpleasant, really hard fruit flavored candies. The resources, like there's the one that looks like a banana. I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing it up, but yeah, but we have the deluxe resources. It's a very pretty game. Love the color scheme, the sort of purple hues, and just really fun. We'll have to get it back to the table this year.
Put it on the list?
Yep. That's my number 72, Lizard Wizard.
Good choice. My number 71 is a game I really like, but I don't know how well I can talk about it. We haven't played it in a while, but then, I don't know. But it's Paladins of the West Kingdom, which I think is just a great game. It's a great game. It's got multicolored workers, and you can use them in different ways. And that puzzle of using the workers in the right places at the right time to get the most out of them is tricksy, very tricksy.
Yeah, well, and you get your workers every round, so it's not like
you get them as like income.
Yeah, it's like your resource that you get like income, which is such a unique thing for a worker placement. Usually you have like your 6 workers and that's what you have, but here you get them as your income every round, and then what you do is what you can do is based on those workers. So it's a really interesting addition to worker placement.
I think it's interesting, and it has interesting card play that goes with it, and you can claim different cards. I like this one a lot, but I feel like I can't talk about the mechanisms in detail right now. So going a little bit off feel, I guess, of what I recall. We like Garfield games. They make good games. And I do want to do a Garfield games binge where we play through all the Garfield games at some point.
Yep.
But we have a to-do list of things like that that's a little long. So will that happen? Who knows? But we haven't played the newer ones. We haven't played Viscouncil West Kingdom yet, and we haven't played some others. So
yeah, I like the West Kingdom better than the North Sea ones. I think they got more complicated. They're more our speed.
Yeah, the more complex Euro, which we do like a lot. So.
The other thing about Paladins that I really liked is when you're hiring or when you're taking a card that has like a worker on it, there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can hire them for their like in-game impact, or you can put them into a different pool for end of game value. So I think that's a really, really neat mechanism. I think that's right, but I just remember that's one of the things
like that, yeah.
That's one of the things I really loved, is that decision about what you're going to do when you get that worker is use them for like that quick hit value or something that is going to be more valuable longer term. So again, there's so much decision space in that game.
And another plus for this game, and a plus for most of the Garfield games, is that they're all historically interesting. They all take place in specific eras of history and are based on how things function in those eras of history. And I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my number 71, Paladins of the West Kingdom.
My number 71 dropped 24 spaces. This one suffers tremendously from not having been played. At this point, I think it's just an emotional attachment to it that keeps it on the list. If we played it, though, it would probably be back up there. And that is Guzheng.
Oh, Dijon's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
I don't think I made my list.
It has some really great mechanisms, but again, it's like one of those ones I can't talk super much about. But I know you have to like give a gift to the emperor in order to do things. Not a gift, you're bribing them, right? In order to go certain spaces. And that's like all I remember.
Isn't that how you
about
get
it.
cards? You give cards to get cards?
Yes, you give cards to get cards. So there's
It's like a whole weird...
I actually like remember nothing about this game.
It's like a worker placement system, but the workers are your cards, is what I sort of, if I remember right.
This is terrible. I should have looked up how to play it. I can't remember a damn thing about it. It's just so pretty. And I do know that I really enjoyed it mechanically.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It wouldn't be here if I didn't enjoy it mechanically. I just don't remember it. It's been a couple years since we played it. And at this point, it's like, I remember that I love it. If you ask me, do I want to play this? I'd be like, yes, I absolutely want to play this. And I certainly want to play this right now more than I want to play Ra. Poor Ra. I can see Ra. That's why it is the game that I'm always using as an example. So, you know, it pops up there. It beat out a bunch of other things, but it's been so long since we played it that I don't really remember the mechanism. So I think this might have been on my... No, I don't think it was on my list of games I wanted to get back to the table. It should be.
Yeah. It definitely should be on our list because I would like to get back to the table too.
Yeah. All right. If you remember how to play any of our last two games that we said we can't remember how to play, tell us in the comments. Tell us why we like this game.
Please help us out. No, I mean, this is just sometimes when you're doing these lists, it has been a while since you played a game. And so the question is, what do you do with it? Do you drop it out because you haven't played it in a while? Or do you go by your memory? I did both kind of with this list.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's the best way to go about it. So your thoughts on that are actually be very interesting.
Yeah. And I definitely think some of the time if I came up against something and I was like, I think I liked that, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I discounted it, right? But there was some like Guzhang that just got through. Like, I just like know that that's a great game.
It's a great game. Yeah, absolutely. It's in my top 200. I can say that, but I won't spoil exactly where.
All right.
All right.
Well, let us know in the comments what you think of the list, what you think of the games we can't remember how to play, and how you make your list. And we will see you next time
on the SpielMill. All right, remember, same bat SpielMill channel, same SpielMill time. Remember,
every day that you game
is a holiday. Bye.